Hi, I'm Becky from Let's Make Geek Stuff, and today I'm going to show you how to emboss craft foam using a spoon and a knitting needle. Embossing is an easy technique that can make inexpensive craft foam look like tooled leather, or if you're doing a metallic, it can make it look engraved or embossed. For my project today, I am using 6mm craft foam. This is just the generic craft foam from the craft store. You can use any thickness you want. I have already added a light leather texture. I'll link right here the video that shows you how to do that. It's pretty easy. The only other tools I need today are a ballpoint pen, a spoon, and I am using this large knitting needle, but really you can use any tool in your house that has kind of a blunted, smooth point like that. This bracer or wrist guard is from this pattern, available on my Etsy shop called Basic Bracers. There's 3 different easy bracers in that pattern, so you can check that out. And today I've chosen to emboss on it this tree of Gondor. If you want to line up your graphic in the middle, I've marked a little notch here at the top center and the bottom center, and I've also folded this in half to find the middle, and I've marked that top to bottom. So now if I use a ruler and I line it up top to bottom on my bracer here. Now all I need to do is slide my pattern so it lines up top to bottom. I need to decide how high or low, take away my ruler, and that's in the center. Now that I've decided where I want to place my graphic, I'm just going to use this blue painter's tape to tape it to the surface of my foam. You don't want to use any stronger tape than this because then it might rip up the surface of your foam, and you don't want that. Using my ballpoint pen, I'm now going to trace the outside shape of this tree, and I'm going to press pretty hard. Like, I'm going to press hard enough to break through the paper. If the pen writes on the foam, that's okay, because I'm just going to paint over it. I do want to be careful that I don't press so hard that my pen rips the foam. This is why I recommend a ballpoint pen, because the roller of the ball helps it so it doesn't dig into the foam. Now that we've outlined it all with the ballpoint pen, I'm going to pull up the pattern. This is where the embossing comes in. On the spoon, it has this curve, right? And so you're going to want the flat side of the curve to be towards the thing that you're highlighting. And then the angled part of the curve is towards the outside. So it's going to create a line in the foam that's angled on the outside and then straight up and down on the inside, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to go over the lines that I did on the first step with the ballpoint pen, but I'm going to be pushing quite hard. Now if you're using like 2mm craft foam, don't push so hard that you can push right through the foam. But on this foam, that's not really a problem. The problem would be, I don't want to push so hard that I like rip the foam. I'm just going to go over those lines over and over. Now since I want the tree trunk on the other side, see, I'm going to turn the spoon because on this side I want kind of it to be angled out this direction. So okay, now in these more detailed sections down here, this is a very detailed pattern. I probably wouldn't start with something this detailed. But I'm gonna, since my spoon is too big to get into these more detailed roots, I'm going to use my knitting needle, but I'm gonna use the same kind of idea where I'm gonna press and pull, and I'm gonna put the pressure towards the outside of my drawing or my image. Okay, I hope you guys can see that, how that pattern has been pressed in. Okay, now I'm gonna go do the whole thing for the rest here at the top. It's a little more complicated, so. I'm gonna just keep going over this and over this until the imprints are super deep. But not tearing the foam, that's the thing. Don't tear the foam. Just get the imprints deep into the foam. I've gone over these several more times with both the spoon in the larger places and my chunky knitting needle in the smaller places, and that is the result. So here's the final embossed piece. I'm going to bring this pattern out a lot when I paint it. I wanted to show you some examples of some old armor I have laying around. This is quite a few years old and has a lot of wear, but I just want to see how I use this embossing effect and then painted darkening in the lines. This one I added some color. This is an elven armor I made. Another example, this is a shin guard. This is kind of a different example. So the edges of this were embossed in and then the whole design was painted in, which I think turned out really cool. And here's some Celtic bracers I made where I highlighted the embossed lines with gold. I think I'll do a similar thing on this project. Thanks for joining me on this part of my tutorial. Follow the links below to find the next section on painting this foam to look like leather.